And bracing for the return of Kevin Durant, the Heat took on the Brooklyn Nets less than a day after one of their toughest losses of the season, and it was Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro, the future of the Miami Heat, taking over and dominating once again, combining for 57 points, avoiding a late-game collapse, and finding a way to pull the Heat to victory. We'll break down the game and talk about the latest regarding Victor Oladipo, reportedly set to make his return sometime next week. A special live edition of Locked On Heat coming up next.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Heat Nation. It's a Friday live edition of Locked On Heat, your daily podcast covering all things Miami Heat, however you may be listening or watching on YouTube, Odyssey, or on your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm David Ramil, and with me, as always, sporting some sunglasses indoors, no less, is my co-host, Wes Goldberg.
Yep.
What a victory for the Miami Heat after a tough loss to the Milwaukee Bucks on Wednesday. The Heat were back at it less than a day later, facing Kevin Durant, who was making his return after a MCL injury, and he was back on the floor for the Brooklyn Nets. The Heat, without Jimmy Butler, without PJ Tucker, without Kyle Lowry, who continues to miss time due to personal reasons. And guess what? Miami found a way to pull out a victory anyway, even in Brooklyn, even taking on Kevin Durant at full strength, looking as good as he ever has throughout his incredible career. Miami getting some incredible performances up and down. The return of Goran Dragic didn't matter so much, regarding Miami. It was up against them, and yet they somehow found a way to victory. And for you, I think there was a big key to this game for you, Wes, that you really want to talk about, because I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, I'm channeling my inner Tyler Herro right now. He always wears the sunglasses in post-game. I'm wearing my sunglasses in post-game after a big win here. This was... You mentioned the future of the Heat, and this was exactly what it was. Going into this game, we knew that Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker were not going to play because of rest on the second night of back-to-back. Fifth game in 7 nights, by the way, for Miami. Not an easy stretch coming out of the All-Star break. And we knew that Bam and Tyler Herro had to step up in a big way. That's exactly what happened in this game. And it was so much fun to watch this game, other than the part where they were down 16 points. But after that, it was a lot of fun to watch because it was just Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo, pick and roll over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, with all the spacing of Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, who I know we're going to talk about later on. But it was just kind of a cool thing to have a glimpse into the future. Obviously, you would rather Kyle Lowry be out there, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and just have the full squad. But it was kind of a neat thing to just see the future for a little bit, and because this is how it's going to work, David. This is it. It's going to be 4 or 5 years from now, Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro doing this. And my favorite play of the game was at the end when the Heat really needed a bucket. Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo running another pick and roll out on the perimeter, high screen and roll action. Kevin Durant getting switched onto Tyler Herro, and Bam Adebayo getting into the post, and Patty Mills switched onto him. And I'm looking at that possession, and was it Bruce Brown?
I think so, yeah. Either way, a mouse in the house, something that Bam would never have taken advantage of in the year past.
Well, wasn't even. I don't even know if Bam would have had the opportunity had not Tyler Herro been so patient. Because he gets switched on. Durant gets switched on to him. I don't care. It could be me on Bam Adebayo. It don't matter because Kevin Durant's not letting Tyler Herro get this entry pass in because Kevin Durant is enormous and Tyler Herro is not. But Tyler Herro just showed incredible patience. He kind of just dribble, kind of pulls it out a little bit, then just sort of scoots over to the left a little bit. Kevin Durant has really no idea what Tyler Herro is doing in this instance, and he just gets the right angle. Bam knows what Tyler's doing. Tyler gets the right angle and just lobs up a little entry pass right over whichever guard it was, Patty Mills, Bruce Brown. I don't care who it was.
Goran even wound up switching onto him too and wound up trying to defend him. It didn't matter. He wound up getting the layup too over.
Yeah, I mean, Bam just caught the ball and just, again, it might as well have been me on him. He just laid it right up and in. It was the easiest end of game score that he'd have had in, I don't know, forever all season. It was, but it was Tyler Herro's incredible patience on that play that was just, it wasn't one of these wow things. It wasn't that sidestep, step back three out of the corner, these crazy escape dribbles that we saw earlier in the game. But that was, to me, the most impressive play I saw. That was kind of a play that sort of underscored the way that Tyler Herro has matured and gotten better as an overall basketball player, not just a scorer, but as a basketball player. Tyler Herro, 11 points and 4 assists in the fourth quarter alone. He dominated that game in the fourth quarter, especially when Bam got into foul trouble. They had to take him out for a couple minutes too.
Absolutely. I think one of the statistic that probably nobody's going to refer to that shows the most evolution of Tyler Herro, 10 free throw attempts, of which he made all 10. That's incredible. Look, I know he was recently asked about his ability to get to the line, whether or not it's been a point of emphasis for him. And we know that he's been talking about putting on muscle since the offseason. We knew it was a priority. We saw how he got bullied against the Milwaukee Bucks. 15 pounds of muscle, baby. He's put it on, that's for sure. And look, he's able to finish with contact. He was able to just absorb it, get to the line, a much more aggressive version of Tyler Herro that we've seen. And for him to be able to get to the line, making up for the absence of Jimmy Butler, who always creates the pace and shifts it in his favor. Tyler able to do the same thing. Look, and Bam too. 8 free throw attempts, of which he hit 6. That's incredible for both of them to be able to hit their free throws like that, to be able to have that impact. Bam Adebayo, an efficient 12 of 15 from the floor, 30 points, and plus 12 from him on the night. Tyler Herro, 8 of 19, a little less efficient, but also chipping in 8 assists. His playmaking, something that so many people criticized him for over the last couple of seasons. Before this year, we knew he was a scorer. We knew he was a bucket getter, etc. But for him to be able to run the floor, to be able to make plays. Remember last year when they started him at point guard and everybody said, that's not really working. Well, this is a different version of Tyler Herro, and I think it really showed tonight. So it's an incredible victory for the Miami Heat. Again, after just having lost in such demoralizing fashion. And we should point out, like, the flow of the game completely changed. Like, they were getting blown out completely early on. In the second quarter, Miami wound up turning the tables a little bit, outscoring the Nets. They outscored them in both the second and third quarter by a pretty wide margin, had a big lead of their own. And then in the fourth quarter, they wound up squandering that lead a little bit. They got some big buckets, some questionable foul calls, things of that nature. And at the same time, they were still able to hold off a really, really decent Nets team that was still missing Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, and a couple other key players.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about Bam Adebayo late too, because and just this the Heat's defense late in the game, like you were talking about. I mean, this was a fun game to watch because it was sort of like December basketball plus Bam Adebayo, right? Like this was Miami's sort of December formula: spread the floor, get everybody going. But it got tense a little bit late. Obviously, they were down by 16. They battled back, outscored the Brooklyn Nets over like the last 3 quarters, and especially in that second half. But the Heat were up by 10 with 4 minutes and 45 seconds to go, right? 106-96, up 10. Bam picks up his 5th foul.
Yep.
Right? And it was a little bit of a Durant kind of flopped and whatever. They gave Bam the 5th foul. I'm not gonna argue about it. But Spo subs in Dwayne Dedmon, and I always go back and forth with calls like that. Some part of me is like, just let the guy play. You know, it's a close game. It's an important game, a game that you could steal on the road. But Spo subs in Dwayne Dedmon, and the Heat give up their 10-point lead. By the time Bam checks back in with 2:23 to go, that 10-point lead is down to 2, 109-107. Well, the Brooklyn Nets do not score again at that point. Once Bam Adebayo checks back in for those final 2 minutes and 23 seconds, the Brooklyn Nets do not score again. Now, Durant missed a couple of jumpers that he could have made, but they contested all of them to their credit. And the Heat just scored enough baskets at the end, like just enough baskets at the end, minus the free throws late, to come out with that win. But it was the Heat defense tightening when it had to. It was Tyler Herro making plays when he had to. And that's what this is all about, right? On a night where when you're known to have maybe 2 of your 3 best players without Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, you don't really argue about you don't like really parse how you got the win. You're just happy with the win, and I'm happy with this win. I got my sunglasses. I got a glass of wine right here. Like, this is a good night, man. This is a good night.
I agree with you. A lot of great adjustments also from Eric Spoelstra, who showed maybe like we added to the Spo meme reservoir, like the when he challenged that foul call there, like he was doing this weird stressing movement with his neck, like the veins popping out, gritting his teeth, like he could have crushed coal into diamonds. I know that's not scientifically accurate, but it's still a good metaphor.
He could have done it anyway.
Yeah, I think exactly. He would have found a way. That's how angry he was about that call there.
Yeah.
And he won the challenge. And I don't know if it was enough to help him calm down or not. But either way, it was a great game, great pace, great everything from Miami, getting some big performances from everywhere. And on top of that, some really good news impacting all of Heat Nation with the impending return of Victor Oladipo, who we'll talk about in the last segment. But next segment, we will talk about who deserves all the credit for this incredible victory. You're listening to Locked On Heat, but first a reminder that this show is brought to you by Bet Online. Football might be over, but basketball is obviously in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, betonline.net is the number one spot for all of your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
All right. Thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game, analysis from our local experts. It's free and it's available wherever you get your podcast. Well, it's a Heat win, so it's time to whip up some credit cookies. David, what kind of cookies are we whipping up today?
Oh, damn. I gave this zero thought during the course of the game.
How about Thin Mints? I just had a Thin Mint earlier tonight.
I hate Thin Mints. Okay. We did this one game.
What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
I don't think I've actually ever eaten. Oh, you know what? I was thinking about this a couple days ago. I gave it some thought. Fudge Stripes, Keebler Fudge Stripes. It's a cookie from my youth. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had.
It's not a Girl Scout cookie.
It's not.
All right, so we'll do Keebler. No, let's do Keebler. So you got the Keebler Fudge Stripes. I'm gonna do the Keebler, just the M&Ms. I don't know if it's M&Ms, but they're basically M&Ms.
All right.
All right. So we can hand out two different kinds of cookies. I'm gonna hand out some M&M cookies to Tyler Herro. Obviously, we talked about him. Of our 10 credit cookies, I'm giving Tyler Herro 3 of those cookies. Okay. And I would give him more, but there's just there's too much credit cookies to go around, and I'm sorry, Tyler. Like, great game tonight. You're only getting 3 cookies. Any other night, this is like a 6 cookie type of performance. But we need to find cookies to give to other people. So 3 to Tyler Herro. I'm going to give 3 to Bam Adebayo. We covered Tyler and Bam pretty extensively already. Is there anything else we want to add on them before we get to the other cookie getters?
No, you know what? I think that we didn't shine enough light on Bam, to be honest with you. Like the defense was there, perhaps not as like he didn't have like that one big play the way he did against the Bulls where he blocked, Vucevic after having guarded Kobe White before. I don't think there was anything that really stood out in that sense, although he did have a couple blocks here and there. I think it was just always his aggressiveness, the fact that he saw the matchup against Andre Drummond, and I have to say, I felt like there was something a little personal there that he was taking against Drummond. He looked like he really wanted to attack him on one play. Another Drummond got the best of Bam, dunked, and then Bam answered immediately back with a dunk of his own.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it was a personal thing. Like, I don't think like Andre Drummond like made fun of Bam's mom or something. But
no,
I do think
he wouldn't be here if he did.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I think it was more of like a Michael Jackson, maybe, I don't know, Michael Jordan, like a Michael Jordan, and I took that personal type of where he was just like, oh, you still think you're an all-star, bro? Well, I'll show you what an all-star really is, even though Bam wasn't an all-star this year, but should have been. Like, I think it was sort of like one of those I'm taking it personal type of thing. Like, I'm going to show you just how, like, what an upper tier center really is. That's what I think it was.
That's fair. Maybe there was an element of that. Either way,
which is exactly if that's a huge development, by the way, because that's sort of that killer instinct that people have criticized Bam for not having. Yes. But that was, if it's true, if our hypothesis is correct, that's straight out of the book of Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, kind of just F you attitude. Which if Bam is starting to develop that, and by the way, I think that's an attitude you don't just have. I think it's an attitude that comes with confidence, and I think the way Bam has played lately should only bolster his confidence. And if that bolstered confidence sort of turns into and evolves into an FU attitude, then we're seeing something really important. Like, this is more than turning a quarter. This is more than a leap. This is a huge deal.
12 of 15, like recognizing mismatches, taking advantage of them, moving quickly with intent, something we've been banging the drum about all season long. Like, this is just such a better version of Bam than what we've seen. Incredible performance from him. So, how many cookies is he getting? 3 also?
I gave Bam 3. Again, that's a 6 cookie performance, but we have other cookies we have to give out. So absolutely. Herro and Bam are sacrificing some of their own cookies to give to others. I'm giving Max Strus 2 cookies.
Ooh, that's big.
He was awesome. Right, like there was
starting lineup.
It was big shot Max for a lot of that kind of third quarter. What was it? Did he finish with 11 points in the fourth quarter? Yeah,
Yes.
11 points in the third quarter. Sorry, third quarter. 11 points in the third quarter on 3 made 3-pointers. Not easy ones, not all of them. He was tremendous, and that was one of the reasons why Miami was able to build on and maintain their lead in that third quarter, because it was one of those offense that, like, if not for Strus, that felt like a few minutes there where the offense could have just died, could have stagnated the way that we've seen it before. So 2 cookies to Strus. We got to talk about Caleb Martin, not just because everybody in the comments is talking about Caleb Martin. We've seen the comments, guys. We were waiting to talk about Caleb. 2 cookies to Caleb Martin. I want to give him one of your fudge stripes or whatever, and
Yes,
then and we're going to give him one of my M&Ms too. So he's going to get both of the best ones here. He was awesome. There was a reason why Omer Yurtseven didn't play in the second half, because he wasn't very good in the first half. I saw what Spo was trying to do by going big. Hey, let's make them match up with us. Didn't work. But then he just downshifted, went to Caleb Martin, and to start the second half. And Caleb was huge for them. Caleb was up, a plus 13. That was the best on the team tonight. 22 points on 8 of 11 shooting. He got to the free throw line, made 3 of his 5 3-point attempts, had 5 rebounds, had a couple of assists, had a couple of steals, had a block shot. He was tremendous. And I don't know what else to say about Caleb Martin other than that stat line is great. And just he's just a guy who comes into the game and just makes a difference. And Bam started on Kevin Durant, right? That was his main assignment. But there were a lot of times where Miami would go to zone, kind of mix up the looks and stuff, which I didn't have a problem with. I saw some people on social media like, why are you going zone? It's like, because you have to. You got to mix it up against KD. And then Caleb got a lot of the KD assignments late in the game, and he held his own.
Yeah. Look, everybody kind of had a piece there. Like at one point, Max was being physical, just getting into him a little bit, just trying to use his hands, make him a little bit uncomfortable. You're really not going to be able to stop him. If he's focused on scoring, he's going to get that shot off over anybody just because of incredible length and everything else like that. So, there's not much that you can do to stop the best scorer, perhaps in NBA history. Having said that, Caleb Martin did a pretty solid job overall of trying to harass him. And then to make up also what he did on the offensive end, like he did a great job offensively, like 22 points on the night for Caleb Martin on 8 of 11 shooting. Has a 3-point shot falling as well. A fantastic performance. Listen, I'd also like to, mentioned it before, I'd like to give a couple of cookies as well to Erik Spoelstra, because not only was he fiery from
we're finding extra cookies. I guess you had extra cookies in your box.
Yes, that's right. Not only that, but he also picked up a technical. He issued a challenge in the third quarter, something we've never seen from him. I don't think he's ever done that before. He won the challenge too, but he also recognized,
something we've never seen before, him winning a challenge.
Yeah, he also recognized, he's not my guy today. Now he's not going to win it for us. And he made the change. That was a really bold move from him. He rarely makes those kinds of in-game adjustments at this level. And yet he was, he knew he wanted to win this game, and he wanted to put his best team out there, and that included Caleb Martin. It was a good boost to confidence for Caleb, and it wound up paying off incredible dividends there. So great move by Erik Spoelstra. Yeah. Just a great overall performance without Kyle, without Jimmy, without PJ, finding a way to pull it out together. Like Gabe Vincent was quiet tonight, but he still had his moments here and there. Duncan. One
more note on Max Strus. I'm sorry, I had this and I forgot to say it. His one-on-one defense lately, really good. Really good. We saw, we didn't talk about it after the Bucks game last night, but he fronted Giannis a couple of times and really held his own. There were a couple plays here. He did a nice job on Durant, just sort of stood his ground, contested a shot. Durant complained about getting fouled afterwards. I didn't really see the replay. I don't know if he did. But Strus a couple of times did just that, didn't get called for the foul. Had a block on Seth Curry late in the game. Like, I don't know if it's just sort of, hey, everybody just plays well in every facet of the game at some point, or if this was like a real sort of turn the corner thing for Max Strus. But just a shout out, something to watch, something I'm keeping the notes on. His one-on-one defense, much improved this week overall.
Hey, listen, Bam Adebayo, I see your comments. Look, you know what? Duncan's better than Max defensively. Max has shown improvement. That's the difference. Max has shown improvement. At the start of the year, that wouldn't have been the case. Duncan was a much better defender. And even in the first quarter, Max was getting victimized defensively. So that's just something that happens, Okay, he showed improvement. We made comments, and I'll stand by it. I think Duncan's still a better individual defender, even a better team defender than Max Strus. But you know what? We'll move on because we've got some good news for Heat Nation. That's That's the return of Victor Oladipo, and we'll talk about when that's reportedly going to happen and how it could impact Miami's upcoming schedule. But before we do that, I have to talk to you all about Built Bar, because you know what? It's February. People are still sticking, or no, actually it's March. What am I talking about? You're still sticking to your resolutions about trying to eat healthy. And if you're doing that, then a big part of it should be a great snack that's like an indulgent treat that you don't sacrifice any of the taste or flavor. That's Built Bar. So 100% covered in chocolate, soft and easy to chew. Great nutritional value, everything that you're looking for. Low carbs, low fat, low sugars, everything, but great high taste. You have so many different flavors to choose from, and it's just a great snack or a great replacement for a meal, or if you're looking to fuel your workout or get you through the day, if you've got meeting or after a meeting or something like that, you need something that kind of power you through. Well, Built Bar is the option for you. And again, so many different great flavors to choose from. You can get a mixed box with each of your favorites. Give them out to friends, family, coworkers. Keep all of them for yourself. Whatever your plans are, you can't go wrong with Built Bar. But it's best of all, you get 15% off if you go to built.com right now and use the promo code LOG15. Again, you get 15% off your next order of Built Bar, but only if you go to built.com and use the promo code LOG15 for 15% off at built.com. Just a reminder that you can always reach us via email at lockedonheat@gmail.com or via Twitter using the hashtag AskLHeat. Be sure to please subscribe to the show and leave a review. So many of you already leaving comments, so much great feedback. We love interacting with you guys. You're the best, really. We appreciate all your comments on YouTube, all the email you sent, all the messages you sent us via Twitter, and any other way you can. But you know what? We've got some great news to share with you as well. Shams Charania of The Athletic reporting midway through, I want to say the third quarter, just out of nowhere, that the Miami Heat and Victor Oladipo Oladipo plans on making his return this upcoming Monday at home in Miami at FTX Arena against the Houston Rockets. So that is the proposed day that Victor Oladipo will be making his return after a long absence since last season, after having just played 4 games, after having surgery to repair a longstanding injury, working his way back after stints with Sioux Falls to kind of get his conditioning back. He'll be making his return and adding to this team that's already atop of the Eastern Conference. Wes, what great news.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of funny. Victor Oladipo sitting on the sideline in a pink hoodie, and all of a sudden we get the Shams report that he's going to be playing on Monday. And it was the game that you and I had circled on our calendars. You know, we were looking ahead and we were like, yeah, this Houston game makes a lot of sense, not just because like Oladipo got traded from Houston to Miami. There's like no ill will there. I think it's just literally a coincidence, but it just made sense. This is the right home game. Come back from Milwaukee, come back from Brooklyn. He has had a couple of stints in Sioux Falls doing 5-on-5 scrimmages. He meets the Heat back on from Sioux Falls, meets them during this road trip. And before this game in Brooklyn was going through some scrimmages. There's video out there of him dunking and going through all these things. And you got to think, hey, they got the reports from their coaching staff in Sioux Falls. Victor Oladipo looks really good. George Sedano on the Low Post this week saying that he's heard that he looks incredible and all of these things. And that's probably what was being relayed to the Heat coaching staff. They call him back to the team during this road trip. They put him through a vigorous workout, according to Ira Winderman of the Sun Sentinel, right before the Brooklyn Nets game. You got to think that was probably the final thing that they needed to see. They got the reports from Sioux Falls. They see him in person right before this Brooklyn Nets game, and they say, you know what? This dude is ready. This is what we needed to see. He's gone through the proper process, the proper protocols. He's gone through the right steps. We have not rushed him back, but we are ready to have him back for the final stretch run of the season. He's going to be big for this team. I'm convinced. If everything that we've heard is true, that he is looking great and he is looking fantastic, then that's just one more guy that he would have been great in tonight's game, right? Just another two-way player who can slash to the basket. Miami's been doing a lot more drive and kick stuff. Victor Oladipo is going to help them defensively, another on-ball and another really good team defender. He's also going to help them sort of on those nights, just another option where the offense stagnates and maybe he just slashes to the basket. Maybe he gets a layup. Maybe he's able to generate threes with kickouts and things like that. If he is what people say he is right now, that's a huge boost for a Heat team that, by the way, still number 1 in the Eastern Conference, despite last night's loss to Milwaukee. Exactly. It was a big win against the Nets to maintain that lead tonight in the Eastern Conference, and now they're getting Depot back for a really long homestand here.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic news. And we talked about the need to bring him out on the floor to see what you've got in Oladipo, to be able to incorporate Oh,
Oh, you're
is
good
my
now.
mic
You're
not
good
on?
now. You're
Oh,
good now.
all right, all right. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. To find out exactly what you've got in Oladipo, and to be able to incorporate him back onto the floor to see which lineups work best with him. Now, I want to take it a step back and look at what we did last year with Oladipo, what the Heat did with Oladipo, how they were able to incorporate him. He was probably going to come off the bench, I'd say, this year, given the strength of Miami's starting lineup, the fact that PJ Tucker is such a good, versatile defender. So he's going to be a bench player. I think we can expect his defense to be as good as ever because that timing was there last year, even in just the 4 games he played with Miami. The anticipation, his ability to switch a number of times. I think he was a very good defender for Miami, and that's probably going to be the case this season as well. Offensively, I have concerns.
Wait, defensively, before no, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad the Heat are one of the best teams in the league in creating takeaways. Right, 15 a game. Victor
Yes,
Oladipo, we saw to your point last year, really good at inserting
anticipating.
himself into those passing lanes
Yeah,
and all those things. Like you can imagine that his presence is only going to help that, and that's another way. Like that was the problem with Miami's offense last night against Milwaukee was that they weren't generating those takeaways late and getting into transition opportunities. And Victor
right.
Oladipo just doing that is going to help Miami's defense and its offense.
Yeah, absolutely. So offensively, can we see some of that slashing version of Oladipo? I think so. If he's back near full strength or whatever it was, if he's healthier than he was even during that 4 game stretch that he was with Miami last year, I think we're going to see a much more aggressive, athletic version of Oladipo. I think his shot's still going to be a little off. I mean, you can expect a fair amount of nerves after such a prolonged absence and things of that sort. So I wouldn't look to him to be a 3-point shooter or anything like that, but a couple of drives to the basket. He's going to take that first contact and then he's going to kind of figure it out and say, you know what, this is okay. I can handle this. And then we'll start to see his confidence and his aggressiveness build from there. And it's just, he'll probably be at a minutes restriction. I'm trying to think now that I mentioned, now that I think about it, Eric Spo, has Spo ever like publicly shared anything about a minutes restriction? You see a lot of coaches in interviews say, he's going to be playing 10, 15 minutes or something like that. But I don't know that Spo's ever actually said he's going to be in a minutes restriction or anything like that. I think he doesn't like showing his cards to that degree. Anyway, I
don't know that he's
there.
asked about it all that much either, to be honest.
Probably.
We'll ask him about it before the Houston game. I think it's worth asking. Well, yeah, we will.
I'm sure he'll be asked.
And to your point, like Victor Oladipo, kind of north of 4 free throw attempts a game in the last couple of years. Like this is something that he does, right? He gets to the line. He's a great driver. It's an underrated part of his game. He's obviously a good ball handler. His average 4 assists per game for his career, and that's with that number ticking up in the later years of his career too. An efficient shooter when he gets to the rim. The 3-point shot we'll see here and there. I want to get to this question from Justin Gonzalez, who writes in. Would you guys say that Vic is a good sub for when Jimmy Butler has his cold stretches? And I don't know if look, you're not taking Jimmy Butler out at the end of the game, but maybe in the middle of the game, I could see that. You could play Jimmy a few less minutes, but I could see Oladipo being sort of the primary Jimmy Butler backup, where Tyler Herro is sort of would you consider him, I guess, the Kyle Lowry backup at this point? He kind of comes in when Lowry gets when Larry gets his rest. So
Gabe Tyler, Caleb Martin, I think, is probably going to be the player whose minutes are impacted the most, unfortunately. And after a really good game from him, I could see his minutes being cut somewhat.
Him or Strus, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna be him or Strus, and you can even see Gabe. Like, how many minutes did Gabe play? I mean, he started, but he played 33 minutes.
33 minutes, yeah.
You could see, like, I don't know that you're taking any of them just completely out of the rotation. I guess we'll see, right? They'll work their way around. It depends on what kind of court geometry they want to work. Do they need more shooting with Strus or Caleb Martin? Do they need more ball handling with Gabe Vincent? Do they need more defense? And so you lean Caleb Martin in that instance. I don't know. It depends on what Victor Oladipo looks like, what he's giving you. Is Oladipo not hitting threes? Well, then maybe you do lean Strus. Or is he not as good defensively as you thought? Maybe you do lean Caleb. I don't know. But they'll experiment for a couple of weeks probably. We're not going to really know what the rotation is and who really is the odd man out, probably into the playoffs, maybe even the second round of the playoffs. But I can see Depot kind of inserting himself as the Jimmy Butler backup for a while. But I also think Spo's going to want to get Depot minutes with Jimmy and PJ and Kyle and Tyler and Bam. Like, I think we're going to see that 5-man unit out there too.
Yeah, to see how Kyle interacts with them specifically, I think would be an interesting thing.
Good point.
I think this team is well built to handle these kinds of changes. Inserting a player of Oladipo's caliber could really upset a lot of teams, like the chemistry and everything else. This team feels very uniquely well built to handle incorporating a player, not just because he's been on this roster all season long, but because they knew that this was going to happen at some point. But also, again, they've shared each other's success. Andre Iguodala has made this point many times about the Heat and what he compared to the past versions of the Heat that made the NBA Finals while Andre was on the team to the Warriors teams where he made the finals and won all those championships, is that everybody on those teams was really invested in everybody else's success. And I think we see that with this team as well. Everybody's rooting for Depot. They're rooting for him to come back, to have a good, return. I know that Caleb's going to have his minutes impacted. Max is going to have Gabe, et cetera. Everybody's going to have their minutes impacted, but still to be able to be, better as a result of Oladipo, for the team to improve because of Oladipo's return helps everybody out. And I think they'll be able to handle that pretty well. But I also have to say, just a completely unrelated point. A lot of bad takes today following Jimmy Butler's bad night yesterday against Milwaukee. And I know tonight's all about positivity, but I have to say, look, Spo is not benching Jimmy Butler at any point if he goes 2 of 14 or 2 of 16 or 2 of 25. He's not benching him. Like, they get all that kind of, that idea is never going to play out. So everybody who had that or tweeted about it or freaked out today after a 1-point loss to the defending NBA champs, forget about it. Jimmy's not getting benched. He's not getting pulled, even if he keeps struggling. Spo's not going to pull him aside and have a talk and say, be better or anything like that. Yeah. None of that's going to happen. Like, he gave him a day of rest because it was a well-earned day of rest. And aside from that, we'll probably see Jimmy improve once he does come back on Saturday against Philadelphia. I'm sure we'll see a better version of him down the stretch.
It might have been tired legs, right? Well, he's been in a shooting slump, and let's not hold that against Jimmy Butler too much. Everybody goes through shooting slumps. Steph Curry went through a shooting slump earlier in the year. Like, it literally happens to the best shooter ever.
Yeah, where people asking Steve Kerr, hey, take Steph out of the
Steph? Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But I don't know. Like, just. Can we just have nice things, please? Like, this is the same thing with Duncan Robinson earlier in the year when he was through trade him, bench him, all this stuff. Strus is so much better. It's just they're all good. Like, the Heat are a deep team. There's not really a player in the rotation that is a complete minus, in the aggregate. And so, just enjoy this team. You don't have to find a villain every single night. You don't have to find somebody to hate. If it's Duncan Robinson, if it's Jimmy Butler now, I don't know. Just enjoy this team, guys. This is one of the. I don't know about you, man. This is maybe the most fun I've had covering a Heat team, and we've been doing it for a while. I don't know that I've had more fun covering a Heat team than this one. And so just enjoy these players.
Yeah, 2019 came close, just being in the locker room and seeing the chemistry of Jimmy's first year and everything else like that. Even with the shadow of James Jones's suspensions and Dion's suspensions and everything else like that, there was like a palpable chemistry there. And then to see it play out in the Orlando bubble, like in the midst of all this, unknown regarding the pandemic in its early stages and the season shutting down. And like, there was a real excitement, at least from my perspective, of like being able to cover actual basketball and the team that I was covering and be able to talk to these guys via Zoom and everything else like that. I mean, now it's like kind of old shoe, right? But at that point in time, there was so much newness about it and real excitement watching, Orlando bubble basketball games at 1:00 on a Wednesday. That was fun as hell for me. But, this team, I have to agree with you. There's a real good vibe. They're 20 games over 500. The Brooklyn Nets, with their trio of superstars and selling out with these big contracts and trading away and everything else and being the clear favorite. Yes, we both know that they've had a lot of challenges regarding Kyrie, regarding Ben Simmons, regarding James Harden and KD's health and everything else. But they're at 500. Like, Miami is 20 games over 500. How can we not appreciate what it is that they've been able to do this season? It's an incredible year for them. They're going to enjoy some postseason success. How far they go remains to be seen. But you know what? We'll have cover the team as best we possibly can throughout the playoffs, because this is a great, fun team, and we want to continue to bring you all the best coverage regarding your team, the Miami Heat. So thank you so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Make sure you make your second listen Locked On NBA, Locked On Experts, covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes, something that we can't do lately because we just keep talking about this team. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. This is David Ramil signing off for now. Thanks so much for joining me, Wes.
Wrap it up, B.